I'm going to go to the back because I haven't done that. Go ahead, Gavin.
Thanks, Corinne. On the 58th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March, also known as Bloody Sunday, we know the President Biden will be in Selma on Sunday to give remarks. Last year, Vice President Harris gave remarks and traveled. Why was it important for the President to vote this year? And is there anything you can preview about his speech, whether he'll talk about voting rights or even an issue that's important to the black community, which is the censoring?
And some taxpayers will get a check mailed to them instead. The refund is separate from any money Indiana residents may have received after filing their individual state income tax return. Folks, it is finally happening. President Biden is ready for more stimulus checks to be sent out, and I definitely agree that he could do a better job in helping out the American people with more stimulus payments. If you think that President Biden should send out more stimulus checks this year in 2022, tell me in the comments. Some of the 330,000 Massachusetts residents should expect to receive $500 payments in June. The administration announced that the second round of the Crisis Essential Premium Pay program is about to begin. The amounts to $165 million, funded through federal crisis relief dollars. Checks will be mailed automatically to eligible Massachusetts residents. In the first round of the program in March, distributed $500 checks to about 480,000 people. Officials said that people who received those payments are not eligible for this latest stimulus funding. Also not eligible are those who received unemployment benefits in 2021 or a crisis relief linked payment from the Massachusetts state government as their employer. The Baker administration will gauge eligibility for the program's second based on 2021 tax returns. The criteria encompasses individuals who earned at least $13,500. And according to state officials, that equates to a maximum income threshold for a single filer of $38,000. The maximum threshold is $52,000 for a household of two. Now, the program's website states that payments are not subject to state income tax, but they may be to federal income tax. There are also about 300,000 lower and middle income families in Connecticut stated to receive $250 per child tax rebate this summer. The rebates are part of the $663 million in tax relief included in a state budget that the governor recently signed into law and is touting as part of his re-election campaign. The governor said during a press conference, "I'm going to do everything I can to make Connecticut the most family-friendly state in the country." Republicans are equating the checks, which are expected to go out in late August, with the income tax rebates that the governor gave out in 1998, which Democrats criticized at the time as election year handouts. In recent years, Democrats led by Representatives have tried to establish a new child tax credit in Connecticut, but the effort has so far failed. Connecticut is among nearly 3 dozen states that are seizing on flush budget coffers to provide tax relief to their residents, to ease the burden of record high inflation. Republicans have said that the relief doesn't go far enough, while Democrats are pointing to federal rules that limit the amount of tax cuts that states, which use the crisis relief money to balance their budgets, can provide. The U.S. economy is far better shape than it was at the onset of the crisis 2 years ago. GDP growth is up significantly, and many workers, especially lower earners, have seen a boost in wages, though the effect of this has been tempered by recent inflation. 2 years ago, the new crisis and ensuing economic effects created much more uncertainty in the economy, with spiking unemployment and entire sectors of the economy shutting down. In response, the federal government stepped in with unprecedented levels of financial relief to U.S. households and the economy, and that was in 3 major stimulus packages. One of the signature components of Congress's economic relief effort was a series of stimulus payments made to U.S. households. U.S. Census survey data from July 2020 said the payments were significant. Now, payments are starting to get sent out this week to many low-income households. Checks worth of the $450 have officially been approved by state officials. And other lawmakers, everybody, are now considering a more targeted stimulus package that would actually provide more checks to a smaller group of people.
Plumber or electrician that borrowed $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for his or her own business. There'd be no end to it. We should focus on getting more value out of colleges rather than giving them another reason to hike prices. Sadly, the only place that's been focused on is in my own home state, where Mitch Daniels, ex-governor of Indiana, froze tuition into 10 years. That's getting more value out, and that's why their enrollment has gone way up. With a national debt of nearly $31 trillion, we can't continue to pile on more debt. When Senator Scott and I got here just a little over 3.5 years ago, we were $18 trillion in debt. We throw trillions around now like we used to, hundreds of billions, and it's on the backs of our kids and grandkids every time we do it. Today, federal student aid owns $1.6 trillion in outstanding federal assets. In other words, student loans. The loan program needs to be completely redone so that colleges are motivated to lower costs. This is an excuse to do the opposite. Finally, President Biden's actions are illegal in the first place. The president doesn't have the authority to cancel all this debt. And I'm hoping it gets taken to court, because what does it say again for future generations? Anyone that makes a commitment to take on debt and to shirk it with the stroke of a pen. Even Speaker Pelosi agreed on this point, saying she didn't think it was legal. Doesn't make any difference in this day and age, you plow forward. This is why I support the Debt Cancellation Accountability Act, which requires the Department of Education to get express appropriation from Congress to pay for any federal student loans the department proposes to waive, discharge, or reduce.
Retirees who are running low on savings. And while nothing is set in stone, this plan does propose increasing benefits by around 5%. And it's one of Washington's most divisive proposals, as only 53% of Americans, 53% of Republicans are in favor of voting for it. So if the Republicans decide to block this stimulus check, that means we won't be getting any stimulus payment if President Biden can't get this past the Republicans. But hopefully everybody he can, because President Biden can definitely send out stimulus checks if he's done it before. Now, the nearly 1.9 million borrowers who paid off their loans during the pause and those who refinanced their student loans during the pause into private loans do not qualify for the automatic stimulus check. Yes, people are getting automatic stimulus checks because in August, Biden extended the pause on repayment, interest, and collections, which began back in March 2020. And according to the Office of Federal Student Aid, about 9 million federal student loan borrowers have made at least one check and one payment to April 20 to March 2022 of this year. So the application for loan forgiveness will become available in October, next month. Borrowers are expected to advise and apply before November 15th in order to receive a check before the end of the year. And we all know how important it is for people to receive the stimulus check, so hopefully President Biden can do something about this and help out the American people. Guys, it is here. President Biden can finally do something for the American people that's valuable, and that's sending out stimulus checks before the end of the year. A stimulus check of $2,000 or even $1,400 has to be approved by December of 2022 if President Biden has any hope of making the American people happy. Now everybody, the whole goal of this channel is to provide you with the most up-to-date, reliable stimulus check information, from anything on stimulus aid, relief assistance, low-income benefits, Social Security benefits, and as well as stimulus check news. I'll always
take this opportunity to wish everybody a very happy holiday season and a wonderful new year. And what I wanted to discuss very briefly with you is the fact that I will soon be assuming the chairmanship of the U.S.